Hello everyone, long time no see, and I have to apologize. I have been traveling a lot, but I think it's a good opportunity for me to tell you where I've been and what I've been doing. And so this is the story of my mindful trip to Colombia. So, as probably some of you know, I'm one of the leaders of the mindfulness movement here at ABM, and I work a lot with it. But sometimes people ask me, what does a person who leads a mindfulness initiative in a major corporation does? Well, of course, I do part of my usual work. I'm a project manager, and I do management, and I do a lot of agile training and agile coaching. But basically, when it comes to mindfulness, it's a little bit difficult to quantify the impact in the minds of the people who haven't tried mindfulness course. So let me give you an example. In Colombia, which is a country in South America, the northern part of South America, and it's a very progressive country in so many respects, there has been a law which it's called the psychosocial risk analysis, which basically measures how much stress and how much a person is impacted negatively by his work. So, if someone is stressed or overworked or feels not fulfilled by his or her job, what happens is the risk of change and the risk of disease, the risk of anything bad goes up. And to measure this, there's a battery of tests and questions, which is basically standardized. So what the government has been doing in Colombia is going to every big major company and say, okay, look, this is what we want to test with you, and we'll check the levels. And most of the levels are red. Most people are overworked and not satisfied with their lives. And at IBM, this also happens. And at IBM, there comes a round of renegotiating contracts. And now there's a law that says if you have this risk, you have to pay some punitive damages because you're basically putting your people at risk, and we will, as government and society, will have to take care of them being ill. And also, if you have this level, the worst level, you cannot renew anything, or you can do it, but the cost is so great, it's basically you're just working for free. So it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. And I have been reached out by the IHS, the Internal Health Service leader, who is called Viviana. She's a great lady, and thank you so much, Vivi, for all the help. And also Adriana, the HR manager there, and say, okay, how can we use mindfulness as a tool to help the people and change the culture, because this is what it's really about, change the culture at Colombia. And I say, okay, let me think about it. And we've worked for about 4 months on it, and we have been reviewing the measurements, reviewing the different tools that we had to take those measurements, and so on and so on. And we created a customized mindfulness program which basically addresses 4 quadrants based on a very good initiative called Leading with Resilience, led by the great Vicky Flaherty. And basically these are 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is mindset. Quadrant 2 is nutrition. It's very important, nutrition. Quadrant 3 is movement, not just sport, just movement so you can feel better, stretches and so on. And quadrant 4, is recovery. It's basically rest. How do you regain your strength? And we applied it to the groups, and we noticed there were a lot of issues. So we started working with 2 weeks of courses. It was a long workshop, and we had workshop on the morning. We had workshops on the afternoon, but it was so intense, and the people were so great about it that I think it was a major success. And people started reporting changes for the better in their work, in their lives, in their periods of rest, and this is, for me, is great. This is beside the point that most people in Colombia are so open and so nice that it's a pleasure to work with them. But when we did the feedback and the measurement at the end of the workshop, I joked that I have to start taking some fake negative feedbacks, because everyone says this has been a major improvement in the way they work, and this has been a way of rethinking culture, because culture is the ultimate strategy, and culture is the ultimate tool that we have to leverage a better place to work. Because if we do this, people will be more creative, they will be more rested, more happy, and a happy, creative person is what we all want to be. And which better colleague, that's someone who's driven, is creative, and is always up to the challenge, instead of people who are tired and they complain and they're basically thinking of leaving the company at any moment. So it makes sense all around. So we started working with them, and now we're doing the period of follow-up, and it's also great. And it seems that it's going to be expanded to the rest of South America, which I hope and will be great also. But at least in this instance, we have done with mindfulness a measurable change in the culture of the company, and this has resulted in a betterment for everyone's lives involved. So I think that's a good stick to measure the mindfulness. If you, with your mindfulness practice, with your mindfulness work, impact successfully and measurably is very important, the lives of people working with you for the better, this I think is the great secret to working with mindfulness in a corporate environment. So thank you so much for hearing this, and thank you everyone in Colombia. You have been absolutely great and warm, and you have been great hosts, I must say. And I will soon return to our scheduled programming of one video per week, but I hope this has been interesting to you as it has been for me to tell you and to do it basically. Bye bye, be seeing you.